everybody, it's Christy from Mentally Kills, and I'm back with another interview. Some of you may know her as Mama Mindi from TikTok, but for the rest of us, please welcome Mindy. Hi,
Hi.
how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for coming on and doing an interview with me.
Thanks.
So I'd like to start off these interviews by giving you the floor to tell us about yourself.
Well, I am Mama Mindy, and I got 3 adult kids. I've been married for 23 years. Um, my role really now is an empty nester, and I was a school administrator for many years, and oh boy, mental health has been a challenge for me, and I was diagnosed with, oh boy, now my dogs are gonna go crazy. That's gonna be a fun interview for you. Um, mental health has been something for me that I have been challenged with for my whole life, since I was 14. I was diagnosed when I was um, with depression, and then um, about 12 years ago, I started seeing change, maybe 14 years ago. My husband actually noticed that there was a change. And do you want me to go into depth with all that now? With all that? I can't hear you.
You can go into depth if you want. I
Okay.
muted myself because I have a dog in the background and I didn't want him to interrupt. So
I was like, wait a second, I can't hear you.
yeah, so you
Um,
can go ahead and go as far as you want.
okay. About 14 years ago, I was noticing a change, and my husband was noticing a change. And I knew that I was having a lot of hills, ups and downs, ups and downs. And I went to the doctor and he said, you're not depressed. And I think you have bipolar disorder. And that was a new term for me, never really heard it. And so that was where my journey began. And I was diagnosed with bipolar, anxiety, and later realized that I had PTSD and psychosis and a whole slew of stuff over the years.
That's
So,
actually so interesting. I don't mean to cut you off because
yeah.
I also have psychosis, and you're the first person that I've interviewed that has it as well. So
Oh, wow.
that's why I smiled a little bit. It wasn't because of your diagnosis. I wanted to clarify. I was like, there's somebody else.
Yeah, there's somebody else.
But go ahead. You
Yeah.
can.
It's taken years to kind of deal with that because um, I'll tell you a story about it. So I don't know if you've ever experienced this. One of the most clear things that I had that brought me to understanding psychosis and how to deal with it, I felt the um, room underneath my feet moving, and I it was kind of wavering under my feet, and I put a glass on the floor to see if the water was moving. And I laid down on the floor and um, would see if the water was moving with the floor. And that is how I started to begin to try to control my psychosis. And I've learned over the years to try to see if things were real or not, to control my own mind. So, it's been a journey of reality and what's not reality with psychosis. So, it's been very interesting, but there definitely has been a journey with psychosis because not many people experience that.
That's right. Not many people do. So for me, I got diagnosed this year with my mental health conditions. but
Mhm.
I knew that something was off. So for me, it's sounds. I hear symphonies,
Mm.
which most people would be like, wow, that's great. It's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it is cool, but like, it's not there. That's the
Yeah.
problem, But for me, if I feel a very like heavy emotion, which is all
Mhm.
of them because I'm borderline as well,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yeah, I start hearing it, and that's how I know I'm starting to have a meltdown. Actually,
Mhm.
as crazy as that sounds, it's like a warning for my meltdown. It's
Yeah.
kind of like in the movies where you hit the boss level and that music slowly starts. You're like, oh crap, here comes the boss level. It's
Right.
literally like that for me.
Yeah.
So my diagnosis, I feel like for psychosis came more from my stay at the hospital because
Mhm.
I triggered for 30 hours because I have CPTSD.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I could not discern where I was
Oh,
because
wow.
my trauma I didn't do anything with for 12 years, so it kind of
Mhm.
did some damage. So my psychosis to them, I mean, I do have it, but again, it's mostly the sounds. They think I see things that aren't there because of my episode in the hospital,
Mhm.
which may or may not be true. That happens with PTSD. You
Yeah.
get transported back to that traumatic event. So, I mean, that was their
I ha
diagnosis, but yeah.
I have some sounds too. I hear tornado sounds or tornado sirens, not tornado sounds, but tornado sirens. That's really annoying. And, I'll hear them off in the distance. I have heard voices. I've heard auditory voices. Um, that's gone away more. And I used to think that ghosts spoke to me. I had a lot when when I was first diagnosed with that. But I've learned to kind of control that a little bit more.
How old did you say you were when you were diagnosed with that
When I was diagnosed with um,
psychosis?
psychosis, when I was actually diagnosed with it, was 14 years ago, but I've experienced it my whole life.
Right? Because I feel like as a excuse me, as a child, it might be more difficult to manage that because as children we have overactive imaginations to begin with.
Right.
So you're telling your parents these things, and they're like, yeah, 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 and they're pinning it off as your imagination. You're like, no, but like really, it's there.
Mhm.
I mean, even though it's
Right.
not, but as a kid, we really see this, and then they don't
Mhm.
believe us.
Right.
So that's why I had to ask the question again, like, how old
Yeah.
was it? And I
Yeah.
feel like it's worse as an adult because now they're like, yeah, whatever, you're crazy.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
well, I mean, yeah, we told you that, but like, listen, it's not as bad as you think it is.
Right.
Most people
Yeah.
think, when you hear she's hearing voices or things like that, it's like, yeah, but they're not telling me to kill you. They're telling me you suck and I should walk away or something. Like,
Right.
or I'm hearing hot dogs, and there's no hot dog vendor here.
That
That's what people
reminds
don't
me,
realize.
when I was little, I remember seeing ice cream cones, and reaching for them. That was one of my psychosis episodes when I was a little girl. Like, I remember clearly seeing ice cream cones, like, floating in the air and
Yeah.
reaching for them. That was a cool psychosis episode.
See, mine is always just the symphonies, or I do hear like whispers. Like I'll hear somebody
Whispers.
call my name that's not there, or
Yeah,
I'll hear my
whispers.
son laugh, but my son's not home. Like little
Mhm.
things like that. But I think that's just like memory responses. Like
Mhm.
if I'm missing my son, I'll hear his laugh, even though he's not
Yeah.
here. But that's
Yeah.
because I was thinking of how much I missed my son. So my brain's
Mhm.
like, here, take this. You know,
Yeah.
like don't get
Yeah.
sad. Here you go. And I'm
Yeah.
going, wait, is he here? Like, and I'm looking around the house going, because now I'm confused on like what day, what time, where am I at? Like now I get confused because I'm like, wait, he did leave 2 hours ago, right? I haven't been like a crappy parent, and my son's here, and I haven't paid him any attention, right? You know,
Right.
that's the difficulty, especially as a parent with psychosis. Like
Yeah.
those little hurdles, they
Yeah.
take a lot.
Yeah.
So with your conditions, and now that you have your diagnosis, do you take therapy or any kind of assistance for that?
Yeah, I do. I go to therapy once a week. I'm very diligent about that. I've been doing therapy off and on since I was young, but when I was younger, I was like, I don't need it, whatever.
Yeah,
But as I've gotten older, I have a great therapist that I am like once an hour, whether it's we moved away from the city and we're out in the country now, which has been amazing for my mental health to get out of the city and all the noise. But I at least do telephone call with her once a week, and she's available through text all the time. And so I'm really close to my therapist, and
It's beautiful.
yeah, it's fantastic. Great. So, I am and I also do other, you know, medications and stuff like that, but I definitely am in therapy, like, that is my lifesaver. I
So I was
did
gonna say,
do
I
I
was gonna say,
did
we could skip the next question where I ask if it's benefiting you. Go ahead.
yeah, it's definitely benefiting me. I am like I can't live without it. I have to have it. I I did a year ago in April. I did have to do, I'm trying to think, was it 4 weeks of partial hospitalization, um, a PHP program, and it was during COVID. So that really sucked, because I couldn't go into like the group therapy programs, but it was a great experience. It was group therapy through Zoom, which was kind of weird. Um, but I learned a lot. I learned um, that there's all kinds of people with mental health issues. Like there was like one woman in there that was 80 years old and she had bipolar and was in the partial hospitalization program. And she'd like baked cookies every day and would be sitting there baking her cookies while in therapy. And
Hey,
it
you got
was
cookies out of it.
well, I didn't. I just got to watch her bake the
Oh, right,
cookies because we
you
were
were
in
on Zoom.
Zoom.
I forgot.
But, you know, it was actually a really humbling experience to see, you know, all the different kind of people that were there and struggling and also learning from everyone. Um, so, you know, there was no like shame or anything like that. It was just it was a great experience for me to do that. I never done hospitalization before.
Yeah,
I never had to, but
right.
you know,
So
it,
my question for that, you said it was partial, so it was like Zoom meetings and stuff, but you didn't have to actually go into the hospital, did you?
I went to the hospital myself.
Okay,
I was self admittance.
gotcha. Okay,
Um, so,
and that helped you.
but
That helped you kind of get everything under control for you.
yeah, yeah,
Great.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. See, some people like I
Hmm.
hear a lot. They hear the hospital and they panic. Now I've done a
Right.
stay as well, but without that stay in the hospital, I wouldn't be where I am now. It was
Yep.
out of control, and that helped me pull it back in so that I can
Right.
manage. And a lot of
Right.
people don't see it that way. They think once you go to the hospital, that kind of seals your fate. You're done, and that's not
Exactly.
true. It's honestly the marker to start the rest of your life in a
Yep.
manageable way. So
Yeah. I think that if you find a good place to go and you work with your doctor and you have a good doctor that will um, guide you and work with where you're going, and you know there's no shame in it at all. If you know, mental health is just, you know, when I do my TikToks and stuff, I started out my TikToks to kind of, my kids graduated. I had two kids graduate this year, high school, and
nice.
I have one older 22-year-old, and the two that graduated, I just wanted to kind of document their lives, and then they hated it. And so then I started TikToking them hating TikTok, and they were like, "Mom, get off TikTok. You're too old to do this." And then I just started having fun making fun of them.
That's
So
awesome. That is
so
awesome.
then I realized I started getting a kind of like a little following, and I realized I had a platform to talk about stuff and just have fun with it. So I don't really have like a niche per se, or niche or niche or whatever. I don't even know how to say it. But I kind of do, in the sense that I do talk about my mental health and I talk about it very openly on there. Kind of make fun of myself on there, and But the posts that I have the most likes on is talking about my mental health, talking about being a mom with mental health issues. And I don't even know where I was going with that. But um
Well, I think it's beautiful that you
you
have
know,
that following and that platform to like talk about yourself and your mental health issues, and people want to
yeah.
hear that. They want to hear how we all struggle, and you're brave enough to get on there and say, "Hey, I'm kind of messed up here. Like,
Yeah.
this is how I'm messed up." And people are like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's amazing. So am I." And that's
Yeah.
beautiful. People think it's like
Yeah.
taboo to talk about when you're not
Yeah,
okay
that's what I was
mentally, or
saying. Yeah.
yeah, people think it's taboo, or it's a subject that we can't get into. And why not? Why not?
Yeah.
I tell people when I meet them that my mating call is the sound of a shaking pill bottle. Like, you got to be real, and you got
Yeah,
to be
that's
honest,
great.
and you got to be open about it.
Yeah.
I tell men that, so that way, like later down the line when they're like, "You crazy," I say, "Well, I told you that my
Right?
mating call." Yeah,
You
that's
know,
just
that was one thing with my husband, honestly. It's been um he is very comes from a very conservative family when it comes to mental health and stuff. And my family is very conservative, just conservative, period.
period.
Um, but when it comes to mental health, they're very supportive. And uh, it's not taboo to talk about.
Right.
And um, it's okay to talk about. So, but my husband, it's taken him a lot of years to really grasp and understand the whole bipolar diagnosis, even though he was a huge reason that I did get the diagnosis because he was noticing changes and
Right.
noticing that there was issues. But it's taken a lot of time for us to, as a couple, come together and know that, some days I just need mental health days. And I tell him, like, right now we're going through some family issues with our adult children and stuff. And, um, being a parent with bipolar disorder is very difficult. And when I was first diagnosed, that was part of the reason I was diagnosed, was because they were young, um, and I was having a lot of difficulty taking care of them. My husband was working second shift. I was working full time, and uh, it was a struggle. I was working 50 hours a week. He was working second shift. I was keeping them at daycare until close, bringing them home, throwing macaroni and cheese in their face, trying to get homework done, baths, and putting them to bed. And I felt like a very incompetent parent because I was not really parenting. Um, but I was struggling myself very hard with my mental health. And, I feel like there's a lot of I have mom guilt. And I talk about that some on my TikToks too, that there is a lot of mom guilt. I have a lot of blackout periods of their life when they're younger. Um that I don't remember. And that is very hard, and that's one of the reasons I'm in therapy, is because I do have a lot of mom guilt. Um, because it's very hard as a parent when you're bipolar or any mental health to deal with having younger children, especially 3 within a very small time frame. And as they've gotten older, one thing I've learned to do is apologize to my kids, and I don't think enough parents do that.
I love that you said
And
that. Love that.
yeah, I've learned to, if I've done something wrong and I've been an asshole to my kids, you know, go and apologize to your kids. You're not better than your kids. They're people too. And Um, that took me a long time to realize that, they're human beings, and if you're a jerk, just tell them, "I've been a jerk." And
Well,
it's
I
taken
think
me,
also, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think also
yeah,
when we apologize to our children, it shows them accountability too. If we
yeah,
continue to just continue on our lives and we never address that we did something that we should apologize for, they're going to cruise through their lives thinking that they don't have to apologize either. And
right,
that's probably why we have so many shitty people in the world.
right,
But this is
right,
why, because we don't bring it up to our children when we mess up. I
right,
mean, I do, but most people don't. So
yeah,
I love that you said that because it is
yeah,
very important.
yeah, yeah. So as I've gotten older, I actually quit my job uh 6 years ago. Um, I had a I mean, I really had a breakdown. My job was very demanding. I was working about 60 hours a week.
Oof,
I was doing tons of community service, tons throughout their whole lives. I had done um, volunteer and a lot of political work in my community. I was taking my kids with me literally in strollers to like community meetings and stuff.
yeah,
And I realized that it was not benefiting them, it was not benefiting me, and I realized the community really didn't give a crap that
nope,
I was doing this stuff, and my kids were suffering for it. Why was I doing all this for everybody else and not putting my kids first, not putting my family first? And so I quit all that community stuff, but I was still working a lot and realized that I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it. And so I retired. Um, and my husband and I decided that I needed to just focus on my kids, which, a lot of people may not understand, um, or agree with, but it was the right choice for us. And for my mental health was really the reason I did it. And it turned out to be the right timing because my kids were going into high school and
that's where we need to pay attention to them the most. That's where they start getting
yes,
sneaky. Yep.
absolutely. And um, they really needed me. They really needed me because my kids were going through some stuff, and I realized that I'd missed out on some really quality time with them, and I needed to refocus my attention on them.
Right.
My mental health, because of when I was diagnosed with them, I needed to make up some time with them, and it really helped me repair a lot of I don't want to say damage, but emotional I needed more emotional quality time with them.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's
So
beautiful.
we have done a lot of family healing, and it's been good. It's been
That is
good.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, number one, it takes a lot to admit that something might not be regular, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that takes a lot to begin with. And to even bring your kids in, like, hey, we need to figure this out as a family and as a team. I think that's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. And that's
Yeah.
probably why you have so many TikTok followers, because that's like
Yeah.
really inspiring for everyone else. So
Yeah.
you should be like immensely proud of yourself for taking those steps and nipping it in the bud, bringing your kids in so that they're well-rounded humans, and especially because they're older and they're in their 20s, and mental health affects everyone, especially
Yes.
by you
Yeah.
stepping out and saying, "This is what I have. This is what it does to me, and this is what we
Mhm.
need to do as a family." Now they can step in because anxiety, depression, that all strikes especially in high school and
Oh,
college. Now
absolutely.
they feel comfortable
Absolutely.
to say, "Mom, I've been experiencing this. Is this what is this?" And you can
Right.
say, "Call the therapist right now. Let's figure it out."
Right.
They're coming to you. They're not hiding. And that's when you have depression, especially in high school and in college, you kind of feel alone, especially when you live on
Yes.
campus. And it's good to know that they have that behind them, because when it comes to depression, suicidal ideation does not that far of a leap from depression. It's a
Right.
it's a trilogy,
Absolutely.
depression, ideation, and then you have an attempt. And
Mhm.
you just completely knock the next two off the list because by the time they are feeling depression, they're going to reach out because
Mhm.
that's what you did. You reached
Yeah.
out for help. So they
Yeah.
see that and they follow it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautifully done. So, to finish up, I like to give you a couple minutes to give a word of advice to anybody who might be watching. So, I'm going to pop out and then I'll come back after and then I'll give my little final word and we'll end it.
Okay.
All right, I'm out.
All right. Well, I just want to encourage any moms in particular that being a mom is rough, and being a mom is something that um, is truly a gift. And if you're suffering from mental health issues, uh, take the courage and the step to reach out and get therapy. And that is something that I uh, can't encourage enough. And but really lean on those that are closest to you, and also support your kids. Notice that if they're struggling, that you are their number one fan, their number one supporter. And kids that are suffering, especially in high school, are really in need of their parental support. And um, take it from me that, you know, as a parent with mental health, really just pay attention to your kids and be the ones that they can lean on. And I've enjoyed being interviewed today. So, yeah,
All right. Well, thank you so much again for coming on and being raw and open and talking with us about it so that maybe more people can follow in your footsteps. I really appreciate it.
thanks. It was
You're
fun.
welcome. Thanks. So I'm going to drop you out and give my final word and I'll end it from there.
Okay.
Wrong way. So, to sum it up, it is so important to be honest and open with your children with how you're feeling. No, that doesn't mean every single time you feel slightly sad, you run to your children, but it means when you're feeling big emotions and you're going to therapy and you're working through it, you have conditions or symptoms that may or may not be diagnosed. It's important to let your children know how you're feeling so that if they feel, slightly off too, they will come to you. So, that's a big, big, important lesson in this interview as well. And as usual, my name is Christy. Thank you for tuning in to another Mentally Kill interview, and we'll see you on the next one.